Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is part 2 of today's How to Bass, where if you might notice, I have not a single thing on the screen. This is because it's actually the first video that I'm recording today. Part 1 will be recorded after this part, but you'll see it first. And what's happening is that I forgot to do a How to Bass on Friday, and today is Sunday. So this means that I need to do a How to Bass. However, I don't really know what to do, so I'm just going to do something from scratch. So this is why it's part 2, because normally part 1 is about where I go over just the basic bare essentials of what I do. And then part 2 is where I go over everything in detail and explain all my decisions or whatever. So this is going to be one of those videos where I record what I'm doing when I do it. And then part 1 would just be me doing an overview. And this one will be me doing it from scratch. So it's the perfect explanation because you're watching me do it. Still don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'll, I kind of have an idea what I want to do, which is that I want to do a sort of resamply, ridiculous bass. So I'm going to start with Sytrus. I'm going to make the original sound with Sytrus, and then I'm going to resample it. So I've opened up my default 25 preset. This preset is, I set all the oscillators to be 0.25. This is so that when I hit a note on my keyboard, it's the correct register for bass. Let's actually make this a patcher thing. So here's something cool. If you go to, let's see, plug in database, find any miscellaneous, you'll find patcher, then click and drag and then drop it onto a thing. It'll open it up with that thing in there. How cool is that? Okay, Sytrus. I've been doing a lot of the RM stuff recently. I think I could also do that, but I'll do something, try and do something interesting. So I'm gonna FM this guy. Now what happens if I RM just the output? We'll see. If I do that, I can't modulate. Well, I haven't modulated that before, I realize. It's pretty similar. See, now it's RMing the entire output. Oops, I did a 2. I want to do it a 3. That's a little better. Although that was very interesting, that this RM shape is actually the FM shape. That's very peculiar, isn't it? Fascinating. So I am. That's what it sounds like without the RM on. That's just FM with that interesting shape. Mod X. Still sounds pretty regular when I do it like that. So let's do what I usually do, which is the RM. Hee hee hee. So I like starting out with stuff like that. Let's see, what can I do to this shape to make it interesting? Let's see, if I were to FM that, FM the RM with something low, like a 100. You can see up at the waveform oscillator, what it's doing is it's changing the position of the RM. That's kind of neat. I think I'll stick with that. All right, so now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to make an EQ. Actually, let's make some MIDI first. Oh, look, my Skype. Yay. One of these days, I'll remember to turn off Skype before I record a video. Let's do 174, because why not? 140. Sure. That sounds very harsh and ridiculous right now, but that's okay because we're going to attenuate almost all of those frequencies. So bandpass. So here's something interesting I learned about the bandpass shape in the filter. So if we're doing a bandpass, you can kind of see that there's still kind of frequencies happening. If I go to any order, even more gentle or less steep or more steep, like suddenly it attenuates way more. Like even the gentle shapes, like. Actually, it looks like gentle and steep do exactly the same thing. It's very interesting. Because that's not what happens when it's regular. Like, so here's, is that peaking? That's gentle, and here's steep. So that makes a lot of sense. So that's interesting. The bandpass mode doesn't have the same kind of, the same kind of consideration. But if I go into mid, just a regular middle, we still get like more frequencies out of there, which is kind of what I want. I want mostly just to shape it, not so much to like really be very sharp about it. Because I'm not really a big fan of like how the resonance kind of stuff sounds like. Not a big fan of that. Yeah. All right. So activate. Create the vibration clip, and now I'm going to also make a band stop, which interacts with the bandpass quite nicely, as you see. It does that kind of phase re business. So let's automate that. So I'm going to automate these two together. It's very interesting. Interesting. Now distortion. Wave shaper. Now let's see. What does that do? Oh, it's options. So now you might have noticed, oh, the bass is gone, but like, and this is where normally you would do like a sub reinforcement. However, I like to use multi-band compression for this particular purpose. Doop. And just for fun, let's have a little bit of that kind of weird, like raspy, papery sound we're getting as a result of this shape that I got going on in the wave shape. certainly have a little bit of an idea about what I'm doing in terms of the automation. Like, I kind of know what it'll sound like, but largely I don't, which is why I'm kind of just messing around a lot to make a sound. I make a automation that I like. I don't need to pay too close attention to what I'm doing though, because I'm gonna further mess with this, and what's actually happening here is going to be less of the final rhythm than you think. Sometimes I'll automate the cutoff of the chorus. It's kind of like a wet dry, but it's more like a filter automation and add in. The lower it goes, the more of the sound that's being chorused, and that could be interesting filler elements to things. So that could be kind of interesting. So now I'm going to do the second layer. We'll call this a layer. So this is we made a sound, we made an EQ, we made a Maximus to even out the sounds, we chorused it for fun, and then distorted it to create basically the final sound. Now we're basically going to do the same thing again. It's a band stop. I want a bandpass. Bandpass. Okay. Activate. Band stop. So bandpass, like this, the band stop is essentially a notch filter. And by essentially, I mean it's 100% a notch filter. Did it make an animation clip? Did it just ignore me? What just happened? Band 4 frequency. Oh, I didn't make an animation for the first one. That's what happened. Okay. Notice I'm actually making most of the peaks opposite. Most of them, not all of them. That one, for example, is not opposite, but this one is. It's important to remember that we actually still have control of the original layer as well. Not at this point, not everything is set in stone. In fact, not a single thing is set in stone. So that's why that's cool. Another Maximus to even out the frequencies, because they're kind of all over the place, ignoring what you want in life. Note that I put the Maximus directly after the EQ like the first time. I think what I actually might do is distort it first and then EQ it, or then Maximus it, rather than EQ or distorting it after the Maximus, which I did the first time. Now we're incredibly loud. Just for now, I'm gonna turn on the compression on the master. usually, I really often just stick to the regular. But this might be better served after the compression after all. Alright, so let's mess around with the automation some more. Hilariously, we can still use the same EQ that we're doing the bandpass and stuff to actually EQ things, because as the bandpass passes through where you have the other nodes, it actually will, you know, move around them as if they were there. So that's why you can do that. I'm gonna mess with the original sound a bit as well. So now what I've done is I've turned the FM that I was FMing the RM operator. So in this case, just to overview, I have an FM operator FMing the output, and I'm RMing the FM, which means that the FM is turning on and off really fast, which as we can see, we could have said. Originally when we were looking at it, we were looking at the waveform viewer, we were seeing how like only like half the period had any kind of like FM engaged. That's the result of the RM. So then I FM the RM with another oscillator, but really, really slowly, so that it kind of moved around a little bit. And I switched that over to be RM. So what it's doing is actually now it's sort of turning on and off the RM. Rather, it's increasing or decreasing the volume of the RM, which means that as if the RM oscillator gets turned low in volume, that actually means that it's RMing low volume into the FM oscillator. So if it's basically, if it's a flat line, then then what it's RMing is essentially off the whole time. So that's why we're able to get this kind of Reezy feeling out of it. Now I'm thinking I might actually just put the Maximus after the distortion again. So I was just considering that idea, and I'm changing my mind again. What I just did there was I evened out the frequency profile of everything but from the beginning to the end, so that the mids and the highs are a bit more well represented. That kind of weird sound that we're getting is there being too much low end into the distortion. That's kind of interesting. So we got kind of interesting sound happening. It's a bit inconsistent, but that's fine. Because this, I'm gonna resample this sound, and I at no point ever actually expected to use this whole phrase as one thing in a song. This will probably be a filler or like a main bass that only happens once like very small amounts of time at once. So we never actually hear this long continuous weirdness happening all the time. So now let's record it into Edison. It's always fascinating to kind of look at the spectrum profile of a sound like that. Harmor. So now I'm going to drop this into... Actually, I'm just going to drop it into A. I want to drop it into A and B, but I'm not going to drop it twice. Because if you drop it twice, you will make two drag samples that are essentially the same thing. So you drop into A, and then you go to B, and go to Analyze Audio File, and then find your Slice Beats file, which will probably be in by default, but because I was doing other things, it was around. So we're going to date modify to find the last one I made, drag sample 153, so that's the same one. So now I have the same sample and drop in A and B. And I did not create two files. So I'm going to go to Advanced of Part B and turn on Side. So now I have A is the side, or A is the mid, and B is the side. So this means I have stereo resampling. It occurs to me that I left the compressor on, keeping it below 0 dB, but I guess it's fine. It won't affect us too much. All right. All right, so I'm going to turn them both on to higher precision, which will double the amount of harmonics it's using for resampling. And turn out perfect just for the fun of it. It's not super necessary, but I just do it anyway. So now what's happened here is that we have a lot of filtering happening. It's been lots of filters, lots of filter-tastic things have happened, which means that I'm not going to be doing the phaser business, which I have done in the past, because I've basically already accomplished what I wanted to with the phaser business. It's kind of neat, but like for me personally, it makes it too messy. If you want to get messier, that's one way to do it. So I'm going to go straight to unison. Now both sides have the same unison. So now I'm getting a lot of cancellation, a lot of weird wateriness, but I don't want any of that. So I'm going to turn down the sharpness on A. Kind of there, so I'm going to turn on distortion, which actually is both A and B. The effects section is just one, so the A and B are both being routed to it. I'm going to turn on the compression so that there's always a constant like low end presence. And I turned on the mid like that because with default compression settings, it kind of take out the mids a little bit, and I don't want to do that. So now right now I have part leaking disengaged, which means I'm independently changing parameters on part A and B. So I'm going to change the profile of the unison on part B. In the past, you might have seen that I've done this, but what I'm about to do now is I'm going to actually automate the sharpness settings, because at some points I want to have the full sharpness setting, which if you leave on the whole time, it'll create the watery effect. But other times I want to have it a very low sharpness settings, which gets rid of the watery effect, but introduces certain other aspects of some sound that I don't particularly enjoy. So I'm going to automate the sharpness of A and B independently. So I'm pretty sure, yes. Yeah, so the sharpness is a 50% is 100 to negative 100, so that means that in your automation clip, 50% will indicate nothing, 0. The other half of sharpness is actually a different kind of sharpness, which is not something that I tend to use a lot. So when I make these settings, what I actually want to do, I want to go into minimum, and I'm going to turn up the minimum to 50%, so that when I do go down to 0, it goes down just to the center position of the automation clip. Unfortunately, I'm not able to just skip to a particular part in the sound, because if I start playing the note at any point, it'll start the sound at the beginning, and even if I did move the beginning of the sound to that particular part, the unison will not have propagated enough for the sound to behave as it would play all the way through. So whenever if I want to like look at a particular part that's halfway through the sound, I gotta listen to the whole sound. I just realized I didn't have B on this whole time. Another thing you can do is you can automate the unison settings for both sides, because again, like I said, the propagation of the unison is what changes the sound. So if you change how much unison there is, then the difference in the sound will actually either increase or decrease, and based on what you do. So it could be interesting. Low values are good for this particular endeavor. However, if you really quickly go up to high values, it will create a quicker change in the sound that will put you in a different place as a result. I'm okay with doing more extreme things on B, because that's basically just the stereo, like just the sides, and it's less obvious. But it also changes. It basically complements the qualities of A if you make sharper and weird changes in B. See, that actually had a tremendous impact in the sound to automate the unison like that. Particularly in the beginning, I enjoyed that sound. The ending is a bit troublesome for me. I want to go back to the full sharpness. Well, less sharpness. Actually, this is full, isn't it? So I'm actually, I'm doing the opposite of what I wanted. I'm a smart person. Yeah. There we go. The lower sharpness values is what takes away the watery kind of quality. And that's what I wanted to do for most things that are happening. Okay, all right, that's better. Jesus. All right, so now I'm gonna record this, and just for organization's sake, I'm gonna put these guys like that, so that, yeah. This is one of my more involved resampling tricks. How interesting. Now here's where we get the fun part. We probably could have done a little bit of this with the original resampling, but I wanted to have more of a particular quality before I did so. And this particular quality I'm referring to are things that the format mutation setting can mess with. And I guess that's formats. Turn denoise off. Perfect. High precision. Awesome. So now I'm in A. I'm turning off B. Let's go mess with the image format mutation. I guess I need to turn formats on. Leave that in the middle. For now, anyway. See what I mean? Damn. That sounds good. I didn't do too much. Now, normally the sharpness really only affects things if you do things to the additive, to the sound that are based on the additive process. So like deformant moving the harmonics does that, unison does that, and so does prism. I'm actually not gonna really do much with the prism, but this I like a lot. So I'm gonna do a very, very low unison value on A. That's an evil fucking sound right there. Do I wanna? I do. At this stage, this is also when I'll tend to mess with the harmonic use and actual like the spectrum mix, because some parts of it I really don't want, but other parts I do. This one will require the sort of unison and sharpness automation that the other one did. It's gonna be a very long video. Alright, so what are my sharpness? Let's turn on B, see what we can do with this. Let's actually do 3 voices. Let's be crazy. Also, it sounds kind of okay now, but I'm in the wrong Harmor. Okay. It sounds, did I automate the right? I did, but I also forgot to do the 50% business. So remember that I did the format change onto A, but I actually didn't put that on B yet. Format's already even engaged, and I have to go into the format mutation and actually apply that to B. Now things are a little bit more together, so that's good. And for B, I am actually going to make some change to the unison. In B, you can actually see the very large difference between what's stereo and what isn't, largely in the original recording and also the first resampling. The bass frequencies, the low end, the bright ones down at the bottom here, they are largely mono. So in the side, where you see all the frequencies that showed up in stereo, it was mostly mids and highs. So like, I can leave that there or I can do that. So what this basically means is that the unison is now a higher pitch value in the high frequencies. So it's a bit more washy kind of deal. So that worked out pretty good. And then I might find this one to be pretty much done. Probably need some like EQing to make it usable in whatever you're doing with it. Yeah, so that's pretty all right. You need to obviously shape that EQ for whatever you're going to use it for so that it makes more sense. But just for the purposes of having made a cool bass, that worked out pretty good. So to recap, here's the beginning. First step. Third step. Second. First. You know what I mean. I'm clipping all over the place, but I don't care. Yeah, that's neat. So if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. This project will be available with all the WAV files involved. Just make sure that you have the right drag samples in your processing. It'll be in the description. Pick that up. It's pretty cool. My EP is due out in 9 days. The 18th. If you want, you can pre-order it at thefixstore.com/seamless. The link for that will be in the description as well. There's previews for the various tracks as well, if you haven't heard them. Yeah, if you have any questions about any of that, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.